Welcome, everybody. So today we're going to be sharing with you the latest news in the world of bots. So just a few days ago, the World Robot Conference was held in China. We'll be showing you the latest announcements and the advancements. We'll also be showing you bots that businesses can hire right now to clean their washrooms. This one's pretty cool. Bots that can fly a jet plane, and bots going around retail stores taking inventory. So we have with us today Dr. Scott Walter. He's a regular with us. He and I have done many videos now, all sorts of things about Optimus and the latest bots that are out there. This is the first time we're going to do kind of a roundup of all the latest news that happened just this week, and we're going to get his reaction to each one of these. Scott is a robotics expert. He's had 2 robotics companies that he's co-founded in the past. Welcome, Scott. Appreciate you joining me as always.
Yeah, thank you, Herbert, for having me on. It's going to be a little change of pace. It's not going to just be about humanoid robot, but pretty much the whole field of robotics this week.
Well, we've broke some big news, especially last week, where we talked about the ability for bots to have brains now with ChatGPT. Let's take a look at the different form factors here. So first, let's report on this, which is just literally ended 2 days ago. The World Robot Conference in China. You're the one that told me that this was happening, and it's a big one. It was a big one. This is like, what does it says here? 1,555
That's journalists. Yeah.
Journalists,
666
exhibitors. Yeah, 812,000 visitors. That's pretty big. So this is a big deal. Lots of people came to this World Conference. Let's go ahead and watch some of these videos. And while we're doing that, just tell me what you're watching here and what you're reacting to it. We're not going to play any music. We're just going to have you talking over it.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a hot take. Okay, so that was like just looking at a 2-wheeled robot. So here's some human bots. This is rather interesting. It's only got 4 fingers, some flexible bots to be able to get into very difficult accessible areas. Again, that's a standard industrial robot, simple pick and place robots, obviously some drones that can even flap. Again, that's a standard industrial or cobotic kind of arm that we're seeing there. So they're showing a mix of all the different types. It wasn't just humanoid bots, even though a lot of them were there. It looks like it's probably an exoskeleton of some sort to help assist, type of lift assist that could be used. And of course, walking dogs, they've been very popular recently.
Yeah, I'm going to pause it here because many times you and I report on bots and we think that the bot is doing it on their own. And I don't know, more than 70-80% of the time, it's actually a human controlling it, like this one.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Now, what you see in the hand is what we call a teach pendant. Okay, so that's the controller. You see a big red button up there, which is the e-stop button, and a bunch of other controls on a flat screen that allows them to sort of see what's going on, change the program, record positions, make modifications, and then let it run. And a lot of times what the bots will do is they'll faithfully replay what they were just taught. So you showed a bunch of things and then it's just a playback. Others, it might be intelligent to do something else. Like, here, this is a massage bot, which is probably just supposed to go from 2 different points. And along the way, it's just trying to control the pressure that's on there. And then we're seeing also some pet bots that are here. So that massage bot looked like a standard cobotic arm. So it wasn't anything special. It was just outfitted with something a little bit different to allow you to be able to maintain the same kind of pressure. So in this case, the trajectory is constantly changing based on the amount of pressure it's feeling when it's going over. It turns out to be a rather interesting, simple way to teach a robot to go over a very complex surface. You just say, start in one corner and go to another. And as it's pushing, depending upon the amount of pressure it's feeling, the bot either goes up or down. It's simple as that. And of course, if you use that in a massage bot, it could be very pleasant and make sure it doesn't apply too much pressure, and it's pretty much able to make the coverage.
Yeah, I think this is not just massage. I think you can see that those are 3D lipolysis that you can go to spas today, pay them hundreds of dollars, and then they have a technician doing this on your behalf. Now you don't need to. And so it's actually going to take over jobs already. This one right here.
Yeah. And so it's pretty easy to be able to go over a surface, which is, let's say you don't have accurate data on it right away. And then, we're seeing some robotic pets. We've looked at a couple of them. I'm not sure what makes these things special. I mean, I remember seeing bots that looked very much like this,
30 years ago.
Kid. Yeah. And then, just some smaller ones that can be really good for teaching the next generation of engineers, I guess you can say, on how bots are working. again, just showing that you can do balancing with something like that to be able to move it around. I'm not quite sure what the point is. It's sort of like a Segway that's autonomous. And this is a bit creepy, going back there for a second, because that reminds me of Doc Ock from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's evidently something you can put on your back. And now you've got 6 extra arms. And I'm not exactly sure what you would do with that. The only thing I've seen even close to that is a surgical robot called Da Vinci that they use in a lot of surgeries, which seems to have like all these arms all over the place to be able to do something. I'm not sure how you would control that. Just imagine for a second, if you were able to have some sort of brain implant, could you imagine trying to control 8 arms? Mm-hmm. Your 2 natural ones and then these other limbs?
Robots can, but I see that they all have fingers. But like you said, I think this is just more for demo. But they all have fingers, which is one of the things you've taught us to be looking out for.
And they probably have to have a lot of their own onboard control system to kind of do something. And you just kind of somehow roughly command it to do something and just goes ahead and does it. Of course, it could just be for dance as well. And then I believe these are a couple of bots that were designed to actually be in the image of their inventors. Kind of like the doctor in Starship Voyager, Star Trek Voyager, remember? So, and I know it got a lot of attention being able to see a robot that looked very, very human-like. I'm not quite sure what the fuss was about after looking a bit closer, because I've seen things like at Disney World for like over 30 or 40 years already, where you have these animatronics that look very human-like. So
I'll be playing a clip that's going to show a little bit more of how these human-like robots.
The dog bots are very popular now. There are many, many companies coming up with different versions of them. And now this one's rather interesting because it's got enough power to be able to do a flip like that. These are just the old school bots, the old normal industrial robots. Nothing really new here that you're seeing, except that it may be yet another company being able to produce these, and then just showing different kind of applications of cobots versus your standard industrial robots.
But so like we said, some of these robots like this have been around for many times, but being able to do a specific purpose built, you don't need a human bot for this specifically, but if they become cheaper, if they become more widespread, then they're going to be very useful. Just this alone, right? The ability to make ice cream.
Yeah, and they've been around a lot, these robots that can serve ice cream that have shown up at various trade shows for well over the past decade, if not longer. And it's not 100% clear that you really need a robot to do the whole thing. You could probably have a specialized mechanism that could also do it as well. But it's more or less people like the attraction of it. And again, some more humanoid robots we're seeing there. I think both those are rather interesting. I kind of joke that, these are cartoon bots, because you'll notice they only had 4 fingers rather than 5 fingers. So evidently in cartoon land, you're only supposed to have 4 fingers. Again, agriculture, that's going to be a really big place for robots to be able to go and figure out how to pick fruits and do harvesting. Yep.
Oh my God, they saved the best for last. Did you see that? The birds.
Yes. Birds aren't real.
They're not real. Oh my God, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. But I mean, obviously birds make sense, right? Because if they can fly, they can have cameras. I mean,
they can do quite a bit, and then it would be hard to tell a drone from a bird. Now, the one thing is that drones are kind of noisy, and depending upon how these bird-like drones work, they probably wouldn't be so loud and annoying, because a lot of people, they really don't like the drones because they're louder than a mosquito and more annoying. And so, if you're able to come up with one that's a bit more silent, then first it means that they can be in stealth mode. You wouldn't know it's there, and others people wouldn't complain about it quite as much.
All right, let's continue watching. This is another just a shot from ABC News about the human-like robots. And like you're saying, they're not that impressive. I mean, I think they have more, like it says here, upgraded human-like display, the blinking of the eyes, the movement. But they're like animatronics.
I mean,
Disney.
And animatronics has been around since the 19th century, so it's pretty old. And again, I don't know how you would control something like that. It's rather interesting, but I'm not quite sure what the application is.
It's one step moving forward, right? Just always human-like emotions.
Yeah, from my standpoint of a humanoid robot, I think more of the effort should be in getting the bot to actually be able to do something useful as opposed to having facial expressions. So you'll notice most of the bots that are showing up out there, not just the Tesla bot, but all the others, they haven't really bothered to put on a face or anything like that because they don't see that as being an important problem to solve right now. There's nothing wrong that the fact that there are researchers looking into that, they might come up with some really, interesting innovations and ideas down the road. But you're not going to see Tesla, you're not going to see Agility, you're not going to see Boston Dynamics, Sanctuary. They don't care. It's like being able to put on having a bot with facial expressions doesn't really matter right now. And in the worst case, you just have a screen that can have some funny faces on there if you want to have some kind of emotion or something like that. And of course, the problem with these faces is that, what they're putting up there, it seemed like you had a lot of historical characters there. Maybe, again, the whole idea is like more or less animatronics. Now we can set up these Disney displays that, what do they call it? The dioramas and stuff like that are very living and just constantly able to act things out without having an actor do it. But there's still very much that uncanny valley feel to it. It really isn't there. And, are we going to get to the kind of the Blade Runner sort of scenario where you really can't tell the human from the bots or the androids? That's still quite a ways in the future, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so talking about bots that can actually do work, here's one, Somatic, which is amazing. This one can clean your washrooms. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and play a clip here to show you what they're able to do.
Yeah. So this was very popular the past couple of days because everyone's sort of seeing it. It can go in. It's not a humanoid bot. You don't necessarily have to have a humanoid bot do all these tasks, but you can come up with one that can accomplish quite a bit. As you can see, there's
open doors,
move around. It's a 7-degree of freedom arm. It's a perfect application for 7-degree freedom arm because sometimes you need that additional dexterity to get around things. Like if you need to get underneath the bowl or the sink or something like that, you actually need that extra movement. Now, for some reason, they're not demonstrating it actually running a brush in there. It seems to be more like sanitizing steps. Mm-hmm. And I suspect that the main base they're on could potentially also do cleaning because you've seen there are these in a lot of stores and others that are able to wash floors just by driving around. But the thing is, there are a lot of areas they cannot get access to. So this bot allows you to get all the corners. So it's kind of like, when you cut the grass, you can cover a lot of area, but you need the weed whacker to get in certain areas. So there's probably a combination of the two of those things there, all the services and the power and everything that they need. Perfect application of a one-armed robot that can do a human-like task without having to be a humanoid bot. And I think there's like you'll see that like something kind of comes out to keep the door open. So they thought of everything. And, the classic problem, the door always like slams on you on the way out, hits you in the small of the back. But, you happen to catch that. Now, can this do every cleanup job? I'm not sure. I think what it's really good is doing the standard maintenance of all the bathrooms, of going in and doing kind of the light cleaning and making sure everything is sanitized. I have a feeling because they talked about, being able to reduce your workforce by 50% or something like that. There's still going to be the case where you're going to have the professional come in and figure out what's going on. But what this does is it takes the heavy load off everyone of making sure the bathroom has recently been visited and cleaned. And what that means is that you can probably have more and more of these cleaning cycles, more common. Way more frequency, almost nonstop.
I mean, so far it's just the toilets. It doesn't do the sinks, and it just vacuums the floors. Yep, I don't know. Yep. Do you think that it actually has vision? Do you think that it actually has intelligence?
It must have something. It must have something to kind of be able to reference where it is in there. Because it could come in there and the doors may or may not be open, and it probably has a pretty good idea. And there's probably some basic tasks it's been shown, so it knows what to look for and how to position itself. So I can't quite see where the vision system is on there, but it probably doesn't have to be that fancy because it's doing a similar kind of task all the time. So there is a certain amount of structure to the environment that's here. It's not what's mainly changing is like, is the door open or not? And it figuring out how to change the state of the door.
Yeah. So they don't show it replacing restocking.
Right. Yeah. You're not seeing the urinal cakes being put in there. You're not seeing the toilet paper rolls being replaced. So those are all things. Yes.
It'd be
Whether
cool
the
if it's all
safely
garbage on the
replaced.
ground, and then they put the garbage into the garbage and then take out the garbage.
That's also a good question, and whether it's just able to vacuum that up if it is a little bit messy when you come in, or if it's really is just going through and cleaning it. The way I kind of look at it is, I have a dishwasher, but my dishwasher doesn't actually wash the dishes. I wash the dishes. I use the dishwasher basically as a sterilizer. It's after I've taken care of the heavy stuff, it kind of goes in, and it may be kind of the same idea here, is that it's going in and taking care of a lot of that more light maintenance that you have to do, and just anything that's really big or more complicated, then you let a human go in there. And of course, you can look at it and say, well, someday this, Tesla bot can do that too. It's like, yeah, any humanoid robot form can do that, but we don't have to wait for that to be able to maybe take 50, 60% of the workload off and be able to automate in some way. Because, it's,
but this thing is purpose built for washrooms.
Yes.
And so you saw that it can switch out the, for vacuum, it switches it out before it touches the handles of the doors. So it's not using the same thing that it used. It's got obviously a vacuum. It's got water to be able to spray the floor.
And that's the interesting thing. I kind of wonder is that, I noticed it had an attachment that would spray around. It didn't.
Yeah.
It had something to touch the bowl. And then it went around and did a few other things, and then suddenly goes out and opens the door. And I'm hoping it's like, all right, well,
no, it changed. It changed it,
but you got to make sure, hopefully that thing has been sterilized, because you're hoping it's washing its hands before it's going ahead and touching the door.
No, it changed the hands. Yeah, you saw that.
Yeah, it did. But it's all coming in proximity of everything else. You got to hope there isn't a little bit of contact from one to another as it's doing it. So at some point, I mean, it's the wrist is in common with all those things, and eventually, if things get dirty enough, things are gonna. So there might be some sanitation steps they then have to do on the bot itself to make sure it is not passing infections around the environment accidentally.
So here they're pitching it as high quality cleaning, low staff turnover, and I'll tell you, I get this. I know people who worked at restaurants. And I was talking to a restaurant manager. The manager was telling me that there's two kinds of restaurants. One restaurant expects its waiters and waitresses and staff to clean the washroom, and another hires a special cleaning team. People don't want to clean the washroom. And if it becomes their part of their job, which many restaurants do, it's terrible. So people don't like it.
And as a patron, I do not want my waiter or cook to be cleaning the bathrooms. Yep. No. So, you really do want that separated for sure. And again, it's like a lot of times it's just, if you just do the continual maintenance, things won't get bad. And then every now and then, some disaster happens and someone will have to go in. And usually, if it's a good manager, the manager takes care of something like that. They'll realize that, okay, we need someone to do it. Everyone else is like doing their jobs, they're doing it effectively. I got to take care of this. So
this is very affordable. There's no contract, no easy setup, of course, zero upfront fee. So they're charging
like my cable.
$1,000 a month for an 8-hour day. So I wonder that's associated with batteries, 40 hours a week work shift. So I don't know why just 8 hours a day. That's interesting. But basically, you tell them where you are, provide the address, a recharging space for the bot, and it'll charge itself. And water and electricity charging. It charges itself and knows how to do it. Water and electricity access. So to be able to fill it. So I guess it knows how to fill itself up with water. Yeah. Yeah.
Now think about it for a second there. We were talking about how much you would charge for a Tesla bot.
Yeah.
And, I had proposed that it would probably be about $1,000 a week. That would be what you'd want to do. And it's like, oh no, it's way too much. Like, look at this one. Okay, it's not $1,000 a week, but they are saying $1,000 a month, but that's only 8-hour days. So I guess if you wanted to do a 16-hour day, and I would think a lot of restaurants and other places, there's not just an 8-hour day. It's going to be a little bit longer than that. You may, it could be charging a little bit more. So that means we're not really that far off on our estimates on what we think something like Optimus or humanoid bot would be worth, if we're already seeing these other companies are coming out with, let's say, things that are kind of similar. So it's reasonably affordable. $1,000 a month isn't that bad for a cleaning service like that.
Perfect. Yeah.
But there's still, the thing about all this is it comes with like additional overhead. for sure. There's still going to be other management that has to go on. It's not going to clean everything. It's just going to take a lot of the load off of your staff.
Yeah, I'm not convinced of what I saw so far. Sanitization is basically what it did.
Yeah, basically what it is. Yeah, and if you ever had to do that, I mean, you don't have to have worked in the industry. All you have to do is had kids at home to know sometimes what it can be like to have to clean something up.
They were just showing washrooms that are already clean. You got to show me a washroom that's really messy and then see how this operates in that mess. And so we'll see. We'll see how that works. All right. The next story here is this humanoid robot they call PyBot that operates a jet. Okay. It sits in a cockpit without so you don't need to modify the aircraft. It just knows how to operate the jet. This is from a Korean Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. These researchers created this. Not sure if this is actually sold right now, or is this a research?
I think it's still a research project. I don't think it's actually soloed yet. It's demonstrated itself in a flight simulator. So it actually hasn't gone up in the air, but it's demonstrated that it's maybe qualified enough to be able to do it. And from what I saw, they were talking about it might be like $300,000 or something like that. Maybe to purchase. I don't think it's like a yearly, but now, why would you need a humanoid robot to fly an airplane? Now, I guess it's because there's different types of planes. If we're talking about like a lot of the commercial jets that are out there, the Airbuses and the Boeings, which are pretty much fly-by-wire nowadays, my understanding is just about everything can be controlled through the computer screens. And you don't necessarily need to have a humanoid robot going in there and hitting all the buttons. So I'm pretty sure both Chuck and Amy, their jobs are safe. This is not going to take away their jobs, because there's a lot of other duties that the captain and co-pilot has in the plane that's more than just sitting in the cockpit. And so I'm pretty sure if you wanted to automate a lot of this, you do not need to go in here. However, if you want to retrofit something which maybe doesn't have all of the advanced avionics and you're just using what's there, this might work. Now, you and I are both in agreement that the Tesla bot will not be used for valet. This whole idea of like having a humanoid bot going in and suddenly doing full self-driving doesn't really make sense when you have something like full self-driving. It only makes sense for old cars that don't have it or wouldn't have the capability. But we also know the Tesla bot will not be able to get in and out of your car without probably doing some damage to it, definitely the seats. So the same thing here is this will have to be designed to be able to go in. And it's just replacing a pilot because you don't have a pilot, I guess.
No, I think if you saw that, they talked about application. Yeah, they talked about it being able to be a co-pilot. And then they talked about it being able to communicate with other pilots using ChatGPT, memorizes the manuals. And this guy is now explaining that it can actually be a support person rather than.
But potentially. So it will be a bit like Otto, the autopilot. It will actually take over the seat. And I guess if you have a chat interface, but it seems a lot of that could also be done without even having a humanoid form there. You could just have it being done behind the scenes if your aircraft is set up that everything can be controlled through software. If the only way to do it is that you actually have to start flipping switches manually or grabbing things and pulling levers and stuff like that because they're not automated, okay. But I would think a lot of that information you may or may, I'm looking at the Garmin controls over there. I don't know. I mean, this is a question for Chuck and Amy. It's like, is that something that could only be operated manually? Is there an autonomous interface? In which case, maybe it has to be done with a bot. Ooh. And then, of course, the natural interface, you just sort of tell it what it is you would like it to do.
Mm-hmm. Look at that. They started with a plane, but it says you can use it to drive a car, tank, or sailing a ship also. But that sounds very much like a military application.
And basically the idea is that you don't retrofit. You just go in and use the workplace that the human is already in without having to make any adaptations. And I'm trying to think, is that if you had this flying by itself, what would you use it for? I don't know, like a crop duster or something like that, where you don't want to have to hire a pilot. You just put it in there and let it go over it and do something. Or if it's doing some sort of aerial reconnaissance that, it typically happens, simple mapping. But a lot of those things, I think you can just build a special purpose drone to do all it if you want to make it autonomous. A lot of the mass in these aircraft is not so much the payload that you're trying to carry around, but the fact that you've got human beings in there, and you have to take care of them. And so you have to make sure that you provide everything they need, that they're protected. And that's a lot of the mass of the airplane. You take that out, and now you can make a special purpose drone for a fraction of the cost. It can probably do the same thing, deliver whatever it is that you want to do. So I guess there's a certain amount of skepticism on what the actual market is going to be. Certainly the future market. If you're looking at the inventory of aircraft we have right now, and we have a pilot shortage or something like that, well, okay, maybe.
I think it's going to be used for military, and you're going to fly, robot driving a tank, and you're not sacrificing humans.
The new aircraft that's being designed, that's meant to be autonomous, it's not designed to have a human in there. It's purely autonomous, especially the new coming jet aircraft, because they're pulling G's that are so high that a pilot can't do it. It's not physically possible. So if you want to be able to do some amazing things up there, you don't want to have a person in there at all. So if it's not designed around a person, why would you want to put a humanoid robot in there? I don't know.
Okay.
Except that I guess it's just kind of cool. It'll be like out of Star Wars. You get R2-D2 behind you going around fixing things as they're falling apart. I don't know.
Okay. Next, the last story we have here is Kettybot, Ketty, Kettybot. And so this is a standard bot. I've seen this around. My Japanese restaurant has this, but they've lowered the price to under $10,000. And so it's being used for catering, for the mall, media display, guiding people. It looks like it's very little capabilities, but basically it's this one here is inventory management. So it drives around the retail store and it can count things. So clearly it has something to do with that. So let's watch a little quick screen here.
I've seen that also in some supermarkets I've been in, where they're going around. I've seen those that automatically clean. I think in Walmart, I've seen them that they go around and will clean the floors automatically, and others that go around and are doing things like this inventory management, where they will just keep on scanning the shelves. It's not something super sophisticated. I think what it is that you're just going to have to become more and more familiar with these things, just like we're used to having the kiosks now when we go into Panera to order anything. Rather than talking to a person, you talk to a little kiosk. And now if you want to get service in a store, get guided around, it's more likely going to be something like this. And it looks like it can also be used for delivering. So they have the charging, and potentially that it can be used to deliver something from one place to another. Now, I do know there are these autonomous robots that are able to deliver meals in city-like environments or in campus environments. So it's almost like DoorDash, but without the car. And the main problem they're facing is that when they're out in the wild like that, they tend to get vandalized. There's always someone that is going to knock them over. And this is going to be the biggest problem in the future with these bots, is the kind of environment they're going to have to be in order to make sure they're not getting stolen or damaged or vandalized or whatever, or that whatever cargo they have in there actually makes it to where it's supposed to be. So it seems that society may have a little bit of a problem seeing more and more of these bots occupying the streets and going around, or maybe eventually they become so commonplace and we're used to it that everyone's happy to see them out there. So there's going to be a transition period for sure.
I think my observation is that we are in the age of bots. And so we're going to see many, many of these, and we're going to do more shows showing all of these as they progress. When I look at the capabilities of the bots, I'm not terribly impressed, because we've seen this already so many times. There's advancements in humanoid and the fingers and so forth, but it's really about the brains, right? The intelligence. And so half of these bots we just saw today didn't really have much intelligence at all. Others, they've shown much improvement versus what they've had before. And I think that that's the part that you and I have been tracking very closely, is which of these bots actually has intelligence. The cleaning of the toilet seat, there's a little bit there more that I've not seen before, where it can recognize open doors, it can recognize a toilet, open a seat. And the part I'm asking for is, can it recognize litter? Can it recognize, things like that? I'm sure that'll come. Right. The pilot bot's very intelligent. It clearly is able to do so many things. And you're questioning whether or not you need the humanoid versus just, it being in the plane itself. But they're saying that you don't have to retrofit, so it can be used for anything. I'm sure there's going to be a market for that. But that's another example of a humanoid robot with a brain can actually do something. And then you saw that they're using ChatGPT to communicate with other humans. So these things are improving. Like when that little bot that we just saw in my Japanese restaurant, right? It drives around, delivers me my drinks, my hot drinks and food. and it does a great job. I mean, it's been around for a year, and they're using it, and we as patrons enjoy it because it does reduce the number of effort from the waiters to actually have to deliver the drinks. But if it can be smarter, where I can tell it, I can talk to it, maybe that's going to be the big difference. But right now, it's pretty simplistic.
It's probably getting close, because if you think about it, there are many restaurants right now where you go to the table and there's also the kiosk is at the table, and you place your order right there, and then the food just arrives. So the interface between you and a human ordering, paying, everything is going to sort of disappear. And then, who knows, maybe, you'll start having bots probably in the kitchen, but you're seeing more and more automation going on there. And that's yet another example. And like you say, it takes the burden off, because a lot of times, just carrying the drinks back and forth between the bar and the table is taking, other things away that may be more valuable things that the waitress could be doing, like, actually going over and talking to some people over another table and not feeling rushed that, I have to, do this really quickly because I've got to go service that table over there or bring them their drinks. So maybe the irony is it will actually have a more human experience now, that, the help will actually feel a bit more relaxed, and it's like, it's okay if I spend another 30 seconds over here chatting with them. That's fine.
Tim.
Because when you think about it, when they bring the drinks, it's just like they're just rushing on over and putting them there and going, and then they're off again. And now, if they could sort of get at the point that when they ask you if everything is okay, rather than the waitress coming over, if the bot would just come over there and sit there and then wait for us to acknowledge it, and when the food's not in our mouth, then we can look at it and say, yeah, everything's okay, scram.
Yeah, it's temporary, this whole thing about a more human-like experience, because it's taken over. But okay, well, thank you, Scott. I mean, this is wonderful. We are going to give updates every time there's new information, new bots. We're all going to watch the progress, and trust me, it's going to be faster than we realize. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. And you want to watch more of our bot videos, go back to my inventory. Scott and I have done at least 6, 7, maybe even more than 10 by this point. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Hey there, thank you for joining me. If you can, please consider supporting this channel so I can keep it going. It's a lot of work arranging all these amazing interviews. One of the easiest ways is just to click that join button and become a member of the channel. Thank you very much. Let's get brighter.